any sweatier?
So sweaty. Cheers. All right, we are back at it. Damn, Daniel. Back at it with the Wine Wednesday. We're giving you guys a special little treat. We're gonna be cooking and drinking. I mean, we already started. We're gonna drink some
drinking.
more.
We're a bottle in, just so everyone knows. If you're keeping count at home, we're a bottle in.
Okay? We're giving you guys the Stags Leap Amaparo Rosé wine. If that kid don't shut the fuck up.
Honestly, we're filming rude.
Oh God. There she goes. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Lady in pink. She's a lady in pink. Alright.
Alright, so we are going to be pairing the Stags Leap Amaparo Rosé with some homemade ravioli. I'm very excited to make our own pasta. I've been wanting to do this for a while now, so we're gonna get into that. But first, we want to give you guys a little breakdown of this Stags Leap wine and why we're gonna pair it with ravioli. So why don't I start by giving you guys some of the history of this winery. So this is Stags Leap Winery. There is a Stags Leap wine cellar. So they look very similar, but they're very distinct wines and they have a legal battle for the name. That's not my business.
But anyway,
that's not my business.
We're not here to discuss that.
Listen. So one of the coolest things about this wine is it was a woman-forward winery, meaning that a woman really gave it its class, its kind of name. So this winery was established. One more time. There you go.
I squeak while you do your presentation.
There you go. Boop. So this winery was established in 1893. Damn, that's so. 1893. And it was sold to a Mrs. Frances Grange in 1913. So I don't know if you guys know about US history. I certainly don't. I wasn't paying attention in class. But Prohibition happened in 1918, right? Did I just make that up?
I don't know why you're asking.
Okay, let's look it up. We're gonna take a commercial break in 1920. Okay. So Prohibition,
almost right.
Almost right. 2 years off. 2 years off. So she acquired the winery in 1913, and then 1920s rolled around. By that time, her husband was dead, as they do, as they do. I'm not trying to be incessant, I'm so sorry. And then 1920 rolls around, and she's not allowed to sell alcohol anymore. So she took a goosey and she said, what the hell we gonna do now? So she decided, you know what, we're not gonna sell alcohol, but I am gonna throw parties and charge. So she basically converted the winery into a resort during Prohibition.
I love that.
I know.
Listen,
you're not gonna stop a bag. Mrs. Frances Grange turned this into a resort that was basically for the elite socialites of California, and it kind of gave it this air of like, giving you exquisito, sensual. Okay. Very exclusive. And that's exactly how Stags Leap is today. They only take about 10 to 40 people a day, where you have big wineries like Barringer, Sterling.
Stayed on message.
Stayed on
brand.
brand.
The whole history. They're like, you want rare? You want exclusive?
Woo! All right.
Okay, so a couple things on rosé. I know that we've done rosé before. Have we just done rosé sparkling?
Yeah, we've done sparkling rosé, yeah. But we focus more on the sparkling aspect of it. Oh no, we did that Malbec rosé. See, the days blur together.
It all just, when you do 17 Wine Wednesdays, you're not getting drunk every other day.
The days just kind of smash together. But we focus more on the Malbec of that rosé.
Okay. So, when we're talking about rosé, so actually the original wine of the old world was actually rosé. People hadn't actually figured out that you can have a red wine and a white wine. They would basically just take the grapes and squish them.
Oh.
Yeah, they would take the grapes and squish them, and they wouldn't know that it was because, I mean, I'm sure they figured it out, but they didn't know that because of the skin of the grapes, that's what was giving them the red color. So before they would go into maceration and fermentation, they would press them lightly with maceration and fermentation. They would lightly press them so that skin color would come off in the juice a little bit. So actually, rosé wine has been around since the beginning of winemaking. And it wasn't until later that they kind of figured out that they could make white wines and red wines. But in the end, people actually preferred, when red wines were just starting to kind of make their debut, people preferred the rosé, and it was because it was less tannic. It was going to be less acidity, and in general, they just liked the lighter, airier feel of it as opposed to the darker, redder wine. So in the Middle Ages, the pink wine was called claret, which was going to be more highly lauded than red wine, which was considered actually poorer quality, which is completely flipped from where we are today, right? We consider red wine to be higher quality, as opposed to white or rosé, which is strange and interesting. But I think it was because people didn't like how much tannin was in the wine.
It was very acidic. Right. They couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle all of it.
Lightweights.
So champagne was actually...
They also didn't know what a germ was. Sorry.
They didn't know what a germ was.
So...
Okay. So champagne was actually instrumental in continuing rosé the way it was. They actually didn't, they would use elderberries to further darken the wine to make redder wine, but they actually stuck with, in the region of Champagne, they stuck with rosé for a really long time until they learned that they could make white wines and develop white wines without the actual skin. There is 3 types of blending when it comes to rosé wine. The first one is going to be blending, which is the more gauche and not particularly the favorited, you know, what people think rosé is. It's blending. Oh my god, I'm sweating.
It's okay.
Hold, please. Okay, the first type of rosé, how to get rosé wine, was blending, which is where you take red wine and white wine and just throw it in a pot, see what you come up with. That is obviously the least preferred way to make rosé wine. However, in Champagne, people still make it that way. The second way is going to be skin contact. Yep. Now that's just how like they did in the Middle Ages with pressing the juices and making sure that they're there during maceration. And then the third type of getting rosé wine is saignée, which is a French term for bleeding out. You know.
That's sexy. No, I love that.
No, listen, that's a sexier word than... But anyways, so what that is you basically take out the juice just as it's beginning to ferment. You take out the juice that's a little bit red in color, a little bit more tinted, and you blend that with the white wine. Now, the rest of that juice that you bled out from, now that's going to continue to ferment.
Sorry, it's aggressive. It is aggressive.
I'm sorry, that's what it means. I don't speak French, so I'm not going to say saignée a million times because it doesn't sound great coming out of my mouth.
You know what I'm saying?
Me and French just don't.
Yeah, don't come for me.
It's okay, we don't mix, and I'm okay with that. The rest of that juice is either going to concentrate like that or be used to go into different types of rosé wine, but they'll use the rest of that juice to further concentrate with the skins to get more tannic, to get more acidic, to get more alcohol, you know. Y buena. The US is the second biggest consumer of rosé wine and the second biggest producer of rosé wine. So the Grenache grape is actually a grape that is widely grown in Spain. It's one of the most grown grapes of the world. Can you hear my dog licking his damn paws?
He is rude. Hello. Hey, he's not paying attention to me.
And it ripens late, so it needs dry and very warm conditions, much like you find in Napa Valley.
Yes.
Similar climate, similar geographic conditions as Spain. So the grape grows really well in Spain, and it grows really well here. Grenache is the perfect food to have with...
no, you got it. It's the perfect
Grenache. We're gonna have to edit this so much. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Grenache is the perfect wine to have with spicy food because the high alcohol content is a solvent for spicy food. So if you're having something that's super spicy, really high alcohol wine is gonna be where your sweet spot is. Grenache is definitely a good bet for you. Yeah. We're making a little fresh ravioli to go with your rosé here. First, what we're gonna do is pour out our flour onto a really clean countertop. Then we're going to make a little well right in the middle that we can put our eggs in. Yes, 3 whole eggs and then 1 egg yolk. That egg yolk is just going to make the pasta a little bit richer. You can do all egg yolks if you want for a really, really yellow pasta. That's going to be, oh wow. We're gonna roll with it. 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna break up those eggs. Whisk it, baby. And then we're slowly going to start whisking in the flour from the sides to sort of start making a paste that's slowly going to start turning into a dough as we whisk more and more of that flour in there. Then we're going to take this bench scraper and sort of push in the flour towards the center and then start cutting up the dough. This will help make the dough not as dense than it would be if you were just working it with your hands. And this cutting motion is really just getting the dough started so that you don't have to overwork it. I'm pouring a little bit more olive oil because it is a little bit dry. You can now see that the dough is sort of starting to come together. We're going to press it into a ball and then we're going to knead it with our hand, with the heel of our hand, until it becomes this nice rounded out texture. Yes, oh my goodness. That is some fresh pasta if I've ever seen some. Poke a little hole, that's the perfect texture, wrap with plastic, and that's it.
She's looking so good.
The first thing we're gonna do is cut this in half with the bench scraper.
And Priya got some very fine corn flour just to soak up, something that doesn't absorb a lot of water, right? That's what you said?
It doesn't absorb into the gluten, so it's not going to make the pasta dough any firmer. It's just something to be able to make sure that the pasta doesn't stick to each other.
Ooh, okay. So I've cut my pasta dough in half with the bench scraper as per chef's instructions.
We're gonna put it on the largest so that we can start by putting this sort of large piece of dough through it.
And you're flattening out with your hand so it's a little bit more malleable for the pasta attachment.
Right, and then when we start, we're just gonna feed it right through. If it's too thick, we'll thin it out a little bit more.
God, why am I so excited? This is so tantalizing. Oh my God! Science.
So it might have been a little bit too thick for this, but that's okay, we've learned our lesson.
And I'm not pulling it, I'm just kind of letting her do her own thing, but pushing it from the top, maybe? Oh, yes.
We're good, so now we're gonna go down to number 2. We slowly go incrementally all the way down to the thinnest possible. With this dough, and I would probably split it in half just not to mess myself up. And you can see how like rich and luxurious this pasta is. Remember, again, we used the 3 eggs and the 1 yolk, so at this point I would cut it in half just to make it a little bit more manageable. And if you have any bits that are like this, that are like super tapered off, I would just go ahead and either you can fold it if you want, but I would...
Oh, wait, let me just show, this. So it has like this little weird penis-shaped dangly dang.
This is Italy boot / penis shaped bit at the end.
That's the little dangly dang in the back of Cardi B's throat, so we're just gonna cut that
I
off.
would go ahead and take that off. So I don't know if you can tell, but this pasta dough is perfect.
So this is our mushrooms. You haven't put the chili crunch in yet, right?
No, this is just the mushroom, the garlic, the thyme. Yes.
Yes, and it smells amazing.
So we're gonna take all this, we're gonna put it out onto our board to sort of get it to cool a little bit faster as opposed to just chilling out in the pan. This bowl, can you see that?
Yep.
In this bowl, we're gonna have the ricotta. So this is our homemade ricotta. This was 4 cups of whole milk with 1/6 cup of lemon juice and 1 teaspoon of salt. I added white pepper and garlic powder just to make it a little, just a little stank on it. So I'm gonna put that much in for right now, and then I'm gonna put some of the oil in. Mix it together the best we can, sort of squash it all together to sort of make this paste that we're gonna put into the actual pasta for our filling.
Okay.
So we are going to go pasta sheet down. We are gonna get our little spoon and we're gonna start with our raviolis.
How far apart should I do them?
So I would go right here.
Okay.
And that's so you can leave a little border right here so that you can attach and you have enough so that you can flip it over.
Gotcha.
Now we are going to use this ravioli cutter to sort of press and cut the edges. So they will be pressed together eventually, but the water adds an extra backup.
So I've done my little water. I'm gonna flip them. And then do I, you know, like with my fingers kind of see where they're gonna be at to get the air out?
Yeah, so you sort of press and seal around it as much as you can.
And there's our first one.
Who's our first baby?
She looks so good. She's elegant, you know what I'm saying? Refined.
She's beauty. And she is grace. She's Miss United States.
Okay, so we have this white sauce going, getting her thicker, you understand me? And we also have the same way water that we had boiled or made the ricotta in. We're gonna go ahead and boil our ravioli in. And again, this is only 3-4 minutes tops. Especially fresh pasta, you don't want to overcook it or over boil it. You just want to kind of give her a quick blanch and then pop her into the white sauce. So now we're gonna dump them babies in. Actually, do you want to dump them in while I record?
And remember, first of all, I'm gonna turn it down because I want sort of like a tender rolling boil with this pasta because it is super delicate because it's fresh and the raviolo, so they're gonna be really tender and really delicate. I don't want to break them up a bunch with how hard this pasta is rolling. And just so you know, this is a mix of water and the whey separation from the whole milk that we made for the ricotta. That just gives it an extra little bit of oomph, a little added flavor profile that you wouldn't usually get if you were just doing it with just, you know, plain water.
This is truly a milk bath.
Truly a milk bath.
All right, so they are done. They were in there for about 3 minutes, and now we're gonna pop them into our creme sauce. Yes.
So again, I'm just using a slotted spoon to try to get as much water out of there as possible. This water isn't really going to be much use to me because it doesn't have that much gluten in it from usually when you have pre-made pasta, a lot of gluten comes out into the pasta sauce, which is what helps it create that thickness when you are using it to make a creamy cream sauce, but you know.
This one it. This one it.
It is.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let this all sort of take a bath in here, let it get comfortable with each other.
Yes. So here she is, y'all. We have some thyme and lemon gremolata. Gremolata. Mira, yo hablo español, okay?
Look how thick that sauce has become.
Yes.
This is a mixture. Archer, relax. Thank you. This is a mix of chicken brodo, Asiago cheese, and a little bit of a roux, just to get it going, just to get the thickness. You can see that it's already like super thick. Like, look at that.
And I'm so excited to taste this with the wine. So Priya is gonna plate it, and then we are going to give you guys a taste and sip test to see how it pairs.
Yes, queen.
Yes, and there she is. So this is homemade ravioli stuffed with mushrooms, homemade ricotta, chili crunch, and thyme. And we are going to pair it with the 2019 Amaparo Rosé from Stags Leap. Bitch, I'm hype. All right, so we are all done cooking. I'm very excited to try this masterpiece that is before you. And we are going to try it, of course, with our rosé. So it's always good to take a little bite, take a little sip, and you're going to see how the wine changes absolutely the profile of how it tastes, and also how the spiciness and the savoriness of the plate is going to open up the wine and make the wine taste completely different. So, salud. Yes.
Yes, God, yes, God, yes, yes, God. Yes, God, yes, God, yes, yes, God. That's a Catholic upschool.
Cheers.
It was very delicate. It was a very delicate clay. The pasta is perfect. It's not dense, it's not too chewy, it's perfect. Right?
Yeah, literally. And it's just, we left it in for what, 4 minutes boiling. Popped it immediately into the sauce, let it hang out, and it is just...
I think the difference also is we let it chill out in the sauce, right? Just Michelle Obama. We let it chill out in the sauce and allowed it to thicken up with the sauce and get really saucy. So I think that, I know I've said the word sauce a lot, but I'm also drunk, so you have to give me a little bit of leeway. But allowing the pasta to sort of sit in the sauce and allow it to all marry together, I feel like that's what makes the big difference. A lot of the times when people are making pasta and making sauces, they just don't even bother to blend it together.
Or cooking in general, like you have to let the flavors hang out so that everything gets really incorporated, and so the flavor profiles marry together really well. I feel like a lot of times people cook their pasta, pre-made pasta, slap some sauce on it, and then they're on their way. That's why you're shitting your heart out on Sundays at 3 a.m. because you didn't put no love in it, baby.
Honestly. I honestly could go with it being a little bit spicier.
This is good.
It's so good.
Yes.
It's really rich, it's really decadent. We will include the recipe.
But it is absolutely amazing. The kind of the floral notes and the red berry notes of this wine really open up, and it almost brings out the acidity of the wine when I taste the pasta. Because it's very medium tannin, and kind of like medium acidity, but this kind of brings it out in a really nice way. Not overpowering, but they complement each other very well.
And what I will say is that with that extra added gremolata bit on top of it, that lemon zest sort of brings out the acidity in the wine, and that just sort of helps tip the balance, right? If we didn't have any acidity in our food, the wine would seem really acidic, but because we've added the little bit of lemon zest into our pasta, it sort of balanced it out to make it really complimentary. So every time you drink the wine, it makes the food better, and every time you eat the food, it makes the wine better.
Do you see?
Do you see? You'll see what I'm saying? The mind
of a woman? Yes. So listen, baby, let us know what you're drinking this week, what you're pairing it with, or if you just drinking, baby. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers. Yeah.